Öncelikle herkese teşekkür etmek istiyorum. Bu özveriyle, bu yağmurda, bu kötü havada her şeye rağmen geldiniz. Sağ olun, var olun. Lafı da fazla uzatmak istemiyorum çünkü çok değerli bir konuğumuz var. Ve 15. yıl festivalinin ilk gün panelinin son misafirini sahneye şimdi davet etmek istiyorum. Scott Mescudi, diğer ismiyle Cudi.
Allah gelsin.
Ay Cudi! I gotta get my mic right.
Yo. Sorry. Trying to get the mic right.
Man.
Oh, your sounds not working?
1, 2, 1, 2. Start again. First of all, welcome to Istanbul. It's a real honor to have you here. I am super excited because of a bunch of reasons. First of all, you're an incredible musician.
Thank you.
But when we started the festival, our aim was to create a festival that's multidisciplinary. And when we do the lineup, we always try to be fair, have like filmmakers, okay, people from literature, people from art, everything. But it's the first time probably we have an artist that covers all the fields. So maybe next year we only invite you, with the exception of architecture.
Yeah.
Till the end.
Maybe in the future we'll see.
Yeah. So to start, let's go a little bit back. You were born in the 80s and you grew up in the 90s. And I think the 90s was such an electrifying time in terms of pop culture.
Yeah.
I mean, music was incredible. Music videos, the golden age, they were like monumental. A lot of production. Some of them were like almost like museum pieces, art films. Fashion was fearless.
Yes.
Television was like, I mean, going to another level. Twin Peaks, Sopranos, like everything was happening. Like the sonic landscape, the visual landscape. It was incredible. And also, I think it's the first time that all these disciplines started melting into each other.
Yeah.
So, looking back, how do you think growing up in the 90s in this environment affected your work?
Oh man, it's crazy because I actually talked about this with a friend of mine. Like the 90s really molded me to be the person that I am. You know, movies, music, fashion. These are all things that still live in my aesthetic today. You know, even when I'm designing for my clothing line, you know, I'm thinking about old cartoons for color palettes and things like that I grew up on. Even when I'm writing scripts, you know, I kind of hark back to the moments of like early horror. Some of my favorite dramas that I grew up on, Stand By Me, which is a classic and one of the movies that really inspired me to be an actor. So, you know, and even the way I dress, like I dress like Danny Tanner from Full House, you know, / Seinfeld, you know, a little bit. So it's crazy, you know, at 41 years old, I'm still very much, I pull from that era all the time, even in my art, because my paintings are very playful and it is kind of a reference to all the cartoons that I grew up on, you know, whether it's Ren and Stimpy or Doug, all the Nickelodeon shows and stuff like that, which I don't know how many people are my age that remember it. Do you guys remember Ren and Stimpy and Doug? Yeah? Yeah, so these were the songs that, these were the shows that molded me.
Nice, incredible. So, and you started drawing. That was your passion very early on.
Yeah.
And then, when did you decide exactly to become and switch into music and said, listen, I want to do hip hop?
Man, I think I wanted to be a cartoonist up until I was 15. And then I had this wacky idea to be a rapper. And that kind of took me over. Like it just, you know, the idea about, you know, being a rapper and especially in that era, you know, was exciting for me. And I was young. I wanted it to happen when I was younger. It didn't happen till, you know, mid-20s. But like I was starting to pursue a career in music, you know, at a very young age. And, you know, it's one of those things, man. Like even now getting into the art, it's like I'm rehashing old things that I used to be into when I was a kid, you know, wanting to be a cartoonist. And, you know, I've been doing music for 17 years, got 13 albums, just released my 13th album a couple months ago. I'm just like, now at this point in my life, I'm like, what else can I accomplish? What else can I learn? Because I'm a student, I just always want to grow and learn and see what else I can accomplish. Because I do believe that one could do anything they want to do, anything under the sun, you know, as long as they put their mind to it and they're able to work hard. And we talked about it backstage a little bit about how I had so many jobs when I was a kid. Yeah. You know, that's why work ethic is so crazy, because I'm not afraid to put in the work. You know, acting is work. It's a lot of preparation that you have to do for it. And I don't know. I think that's the key thing that everybody should have in mind, is that it's going to require some work, and you got to put in the work and the time, and over time you become a master. And you know, it's just something that takes growth.
Wow. And I read your book, Cudi the Memoir. It's incredible.
Thank you.
I highly recommend it. It's a page turner. It's honest. There's a lot of, even he grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, and I grew up in Ankara, Turkey, which is like two cities. They have nothing in common, I guess. But there's so many things in that book I can relate to. And what really, really impressed me is no matter under what circumstances you had lots of ups and downs emotionally, but you were always methodical and hardworking.
Yeah.
But I wonder, when it comes to the creative output, who's the decision maker, your mind or your heart?
Okay, that's a good question. I would definitely say my heart. You know, everything is based off of feeling emotionally. You know, my artwork, how I met my wife, and I decided to marry her. You know, it was a feeling. You know, it just like everything that in my life where it led me to something. It was all based on like how I felt in the moment. And because if I let my mind kind of run things, I don't think I would ever be able to accomplish half of the stuff that I've done. You know, because our minds are like, you know, there's always the kind of like the angel and the demon kind of like battling over and over about like, oh, you can't do that. That's too hard to do. Oh, but you can. Put your mind to it. And it's like this battle. But your heart is kind of just this thing that's like, you can do it. Follow this, you know, like just don't worry about your mind. Just because, you know, in our heads, we can always come up with different scenarios about why it wouldn't work. You know, and we can psych ourselves out and block ourselves from the dream. And, you know, so everything is all feeling with me. I never go into the studio thinking about what's hot, what people are listening to, what's popping nowadays. I'm always thinking about what I like and what is something that I can create to give people a new experience, you know?
That's incredible. And no matter it's successful or not, are there moments, any moments, it's a really bad thought, but regret? Do you have moments, do you look back and say, wow, I could have done this differently, or maybe I shouldn't have done this?
You know, I'm going to say no, because with every album I've ever done, when I turn it in, I'm completely content. I know that I gave it my all. I know that I think it's perfect. I think it's dope. The mixes are great. The master's great. The track list is great. The flow of the album is great. And every album I turn in, I'm just kind of like, whatever happens, happens. You know, at the end of the day, I like it. I know it's masterful. And I put a lot of work into it. And, you know, so I don't have any regrets with any of my art. Because, you know, I don't know. I just don't. You know, I just kind of let the chips fall where they may. But at the end of the day, I'm thoroughly happy with every decision I made as an actor and as a musician.
And your acting career and musical career almost kicked off at the same time.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
It's a coincidence. Were you ever like, maybe I should be an actor? Or was there any confusion or?
Well, you know, I got discovered at a bar. I was fucking wasted, and this dude comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, I got this HBO show. Have you ever thought about being an actor?" And I was just kind of like, you know, because in my mind, I'm like a one dream at a time kind of guy. You know, especially at that stage, I was just kind of like, you know, let me accomplish this one dream first, and then, of course, branch into acting. Because, like I said, I always wanted to act. But he sent me the script, and I loved it. And I went through this long audition process, and I ended up getting the role. And
were you expecting it?
No, I was not, because the character that I was auditioning for was Dominican, and I'm Black and Mexican, but there were certain things like the character needed to know Spanish, and like, you know, they had to cast around me, and I don't, you know, I was telling the creator of the show, I was like, dude, like, I'm not Dominican enough. I don't know if this is gonna work, you know. But turns out the creator of the show called me 2 days after my final audition at HBO headquarters, and he goes, "Scott, I got some good news and I got some bad news." And I was like, "Okay, tell me what the bad news is first." And he's like, "The bad news is you didn't get the role." And I was like, "Okay, I figured that, you know, makes sense." And I was thinking that the good news was like maybe they want me to do the theme song or something like that. And he says, "The good news is that they love your audition so much that they want to create a brand new character based on your energy, and they want you to style him and name him." And that's kind of how Domingo Dean was born on How to Make It in America. He didn't exist early on. It's because, you know, me not knowing how to read a script, I just looked at it and I was like, they said this was a comedy. These scenes can be funnier. Let me make it funnier. So, you know, I'm doing my thing and, you know, showing my personality and all these things. And they loved it. I mean, even when I was doing the audition at the HBO headquarters, you know, when you do these kind of auditions and you have all the execs in the rows and they're all looking at you, they're not really supposed to show emotion. They're not supposed to like let you know that you're doing a good job. And like, what I was doing was so impactful. Like, people were like laughing, you know, really enjoying the performance. And I always, when I was doing it, I felt that was a good thing, you know. But I never imagined I would get the role or get a role or be involved in the show at all, you know. So that was pretty much my first blessing from the angels, you know.
And this is the time when you're in New York.
Yeah.
You're switching apartments, you have lots of jobs, you know, changing all the time. And
Yeah.
last job is Babe. And then, on the other side, you land a record deal, the
Yeah.
first one. And that
Yeah.
happened also simultaneously. So
Yeah.
how big was the change all of a sudden? You have a record deal, you're an actor on HBO, you got money and cash in your bank account.
Yeah, it was crazy, man, because, you know, I had a hard time dealing with the fame. You know, you spend, at that point I was 25 years old, you spend 25 years of your life just being a dude, just being a normal guy, you know, and, you know, walking up on girls in the bar and getting declined for a dance, you know, and then all of a sudden, like, everybody's in your face and they want a piece of you. And that was the part that was hard for me. You know, it was really hard to navigate, and that's why I struggled for a while in the earlier part of my career because, you think that having money will fix all your problems, and that's exactly what I felt at the time, but I was dead wrong. It didn't fix anything; it just brought me more problems. And when people say it's lonely at the top, that is very true. I found myself alone a lot in my apartment, just not having anyone to talk to, and just being with myself and my music. And at that time, I fell into using cocaine, so that was something that kind of helped me cope with everything. And it was a very very dark time for me, and it was hard for me to understand because no one could prepare you for fame. There's no way to really brief or prepare anybody for that. It's something that is unexplainable, and it happens, and it's just like, whoa, what the fuck, So my earlier years were definitely a struggle for me. Just that switch from being a regular guy from Cleveland, Ohio, to being this superstar standing next to Kanye West and everybody knowing your name,
And I always think the hardest is always the second album, the second film. Because once you're successful in the first album, as you said, you're introduced to fame, you're introduced to a lot of things that come around it. And then, of course, you got a contract, and it's time to go back to the studio.
Yeah.
And how do you switch to be in that mindset, that guy who created Pursuit of Happiness and the first album? Did you really struggle? I find it really difficult. I always think the second work, especially if you're successful with the first one, is more difficult.
Yeah, it's the most important. The follow-up is the most important. And there is a thing that people talk about as like the sophomore slump. It's a lot of people that, fail to deliver on their second project. And even in movies, when you see sequels of a movie and the sequel's terrible, but then you have a lot of instances where the sequel is as good or better than the previous film, than your first film, And my goal with this was like, all right, I know people are expecting this album to be terrible because the first one was so good, and we're just a year away from it. And to come back with something so soon, I don't think people are prepared for this to be good. So let me just kind of take a step back, not try to recreate Pursuit of Happiness, not try to create Day and Night, not try to create the magic that was the first album, but try to create something new. And at that time, I was dealing with a lot of darkness, and I was kind of making these really dark songs, and that ended up being, the tone of the album. And I don't know, I was just kind of, I had this really gnarly rock and roll mindset where I didn't give a fuck what anybody thought. I was really just doing what I wanted to do. And at the end of the day, if people liked it, cool. If they didn't, cool. It didn't really matter to me. I was just trying to make what I liked. And so I went in just trying to create a new experience, something different. I never want to repeat myself. So that was the mindset. And it ended up doing much better commercially than my first album. And to this day, that's the album that a lot of people come up to me and say that that's the album that really helped them the most, and that they love the most. And Mr. Rager is one of my most popular songs, and people still bump that song today. It's like all over TikTok and stuff. Like people really get into that one. So this is a beautiful thing to see that like people connected with my struggles and it helped them in some way. And after I finished that album, I was like, okay, they like it. Whew. So after this, I could just do whatever the fuck I want, and it's all good. Like nobody's gonna be, on me because I did my first two albums and I did classics, and I'm good. I'm good.
And then I always wondered, because in your book there's a very unexpected reference, but at the end we talk backstage, the crash test dummies.
Yeah.
You told they were influence on your songwriting, on your storytelling in music.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit? And also, how do you work? Do you write the words, the lyrics first, and then drop the beat, or you have a beat and then or how does it work?
Okay, so the first part of it, Crash Test Dummies came into my life when I saw the film Dumb and Dumber. It was in the movie, and I remember hearing it on the radio all the time, and I fell in love with it. And my classmates, we would talk about it and just talk about how silly of a song it was. And I think I was in the 4th grade at the time. And I begged my mom to buy the album, and she took me to Sam Goody, which is this store back in the day in the 90s. They don't have them anymore, but it's a store where you went and bought CDs and tapes. And I listened to that album front to back all the time, you know, and it was something about the songwriting that I didn't know was at the same time influencing me for the future, you know. God shuffled his feet, and which is the name of the song. I know it just sounded weird, but it's called but I just loved the storytelling in it, and you know, that ended up being my approach in music later on in my life. And I'm going to answer your second part of the question. What was the second part?
About your songwriting, and how do you do the beats first and then write the songs, or how does it work? Or
Yeah.
Is there a formula, or just?
Well, it really depends. It's always different, you know. A lot of times it could be a melody. It could be a beat that someone made. It could be an idea that's kind of sparks it, and I'll run like, oh, I want something that sounds like this, and you know, like Pink Floyd-ish, but like hip hop, you know, that fusion. And but you know, early on, I used to kind of sit in a room and just write my raps, you know, listen to the beat over and over on loop. But now I kind of go in the studio and I freestyle a melody, you know, and then I go back and then I write to the melody. I try to make sense of the mumbles, you know. So it's like, I find that is a really good way to get the real instinct, you know, because when you're freestyling, you're not thinking, you're just kind of doing and feeling the beat and feeling the ride. And I think you get the realness out of that performance, and you know, it's different when you're sitting there and you just have your pen and paper and you're just listening to a beat over and over, and you're just like this, and you're like writing to it, and you're just trying to, but in your head you're like thinking about the line maybe for 5 minutes before you write it, and then there's all this time to think about the melody and the approach and what you're doing. And doing it this way, where I freestyle the melody and I'll figure out what I'm trying to say, seems to work better. You know, it's almost kind of like, you know, I like to say, I feel like I'm hearing echoes from the future. It's almost like I hear like a little bit of the song finished already, and when I'm humming it, when I'm doing the mumbles, and that's why, like, every time I go in to transfer it to lyrics, the lyrics always work. You know, I always figure it out. I'm never like, oh, this is not working, I can't figure out what I'm trying to say or what I was trying to say in the freestyle. It always plays out. So yeah, it really depends, man. And the inspiration comes from different things. It's mostly my life that inspires me.
And talking about your life, going back to your memoir, I once again highly recommend it. It's an incredible book. But to revisit some moments, there are some very difficult and dark moments, especially like the loss of your father at a very early age. Was that writing that book, was that a redemption, or was that just a necessity to get out of it, you know?
I think it was a necessity to get those things out, you know. I hadn't talked about my father or my family in that much detail ever before in an interview, and I wanted to be as thorough as possible and bring people into, you know, the mindset of a young 11-year-old Scott, and what his death and what a few of my close ones' deaths in my life did to me emotionally and mentally, and how it altered everything for me. I think before my father died, I was a different Scott. You know, I was a really, you know, happy kid, you know, a lot of energy. And after my dad died, I kind of just lost that spunk in my life. And, you know, though I would be with my friends and I'd be having fun, but I spent a lot of time at home by myself in my room, drawing, you know, just trying to keep my mind busy and off of the reality that I just lost my dad. But it was very important to talk about this in the book because I know people can relate to my story in such a way. People that have lost parents at a young age, you know, because when you lose a parent at a young age or any age, really, the hole in your heart never gets filled. Like it's there forever, you know, and you over time, you know, learn how to find peace with it, but there's nothing that can fill that hole up, you know, that's it's just lost for life, you know, and you're always going to miss this person. And every time you have a moment in your life, a milestone, you always go back to, oh man, I wish my dad or my mom was here, or things like that. Like even with me, like I got married this summer, and before the wedding started, I was just like, man, I wish my dad could see this, you know? So like you know, it's been a long time, you know, since my dad died, and I still have those moments where I'm like, man, I wish my dad could see this. Like even my success, when I first got successful, I was like, man, I wish my dad could see this. But the thing is, it's like, he does see it. He sees it all. He's watching. He's responsible for these blessings, you know? So that's one thing I have to remind myself. It's like, even though he's not here in the physical sense, he's watching, you know?
Okay. And also you're someone that doesn't look to the past that much. You're always involved with the future, new things, creating, and that must be really difficult for you at some points to go back and revisit and write your memoir.
Yeah, it was
because you're very prolific. You're I assume you're always pushing forwards and looking to the future.
Always. It's definitely like one of those things that fuels my fire. It's like, ooh, what else can you do? What else can we do? What else can we accomplish? Yeah, I put my mind to it. I can learn something. I can grow. I can be awesome. Yeah, you know? It's just...
That's painting and sculpting now.
Yeah. So, you know, it's funny, like, I know, like, on my Wikipedia, like, you know, I have, like, 10 professions, like, in my...
Yep.
And I told somebody the other day, I was like, I won't stop till it says 20 different jobs, 20 different things, you know. I just want to keep trying new stuff and putting myself into uncomfortable positions, you know, because every time I try something new, it's always scary. You know, it's that moment of fear, and then I get over it, and it's like, fuck that, you know, like I'm doing, you know, a lot of people can't do. You know, a lot of people have a dream and they don't know how to apply it. They don't know how to pursue it. They don't know how to take their first steps into that journey. And like, I'm a master at that. Like and you know, I did this short film for Mr. Miracle on my album Free. And in it, there's a moment where I talk about being fearless. And that's true. Like I really came into this business, came into music, come into anything that I do with a fearlessness. You know, I don't think about failing. I think I win every time, no matter what anything does commercially.
Yep.
The piece I'm doing, you know, and that's one thing young people have to be reminded of. It's like, look, man, you know, there's so many people in the world that don't go after their dreams. Like, go for it. you know, and keep perfecting yourself over and over and keep trying and keep trying. It's like, it's funny because people, you know, they see Kid Cudi and they hear Man on the Moon 1, The End of the Day, they hear Man on the Moon 2, The Legend of Mr. Rager, and they think that I just came in the game just like hot like that, making amazing shit. But I made a whole bunch of bullshit before, you know, and I like worked at my craft and got better and I took it seriously, you know. But, you know, you get to this point where you just have to not be in your head about it. And like we talked about before, let go with the feeling, you know, and that's never steered me wrong.
And it's funny, the other day I read Albert Einstein. He said, I never lost. I either won or I learned.
Yeah.
So he never accepted it as a failure or defeat, because at the end of the day, I think we learn more from our mistakes than our successes, because success sometimes can also bring an unnecessary ego, rather than, you know, you can get easily swept away by it. But I think as long as you learn from your mistakes, you agree like mistakes are a good thing?
Yeah, I agree. You know, it's the only way you can learn, you know, and it's the only way you can grow. You know, I've made a lot of mistakes, you know, when I was creating albums, but, you know, I was able to like figure out the mistake, make it better, fine tune it, and get it to a place where I was happy with it. You know, I mean, you got, but, you know, it's just something that comes with, the battle to create art, you know, to create music. You know, it's a lot of just trial and error and just trying new things. Oh, okay, that doesn't really work. Let's try something different. Oh, okay, I like this line. Oh man, this next line could be stronger. I think I could come in harder with that. Like, let me try this. Oh, that flows better. Okay, cool. It's just like trying different things, and that's what the process of making an album is about. You know, it's like you know, you sit there for about a year and you just create a bunch of shit. Like even for Man on the Moon, In the Day, or for any of my albums, I make about 30 to 40 records each album. And I only choose like 18 or 15 or 19 or 20, you know? So there's a lot of records that I've made over the years that, like, you know, didn't hit or didn't make me feel something, or I was just like, this is cool, but like I have like 20 other songs like this. Let me try something else. Let me make a new song. And, you know, so yeah, it's all about trial and error and just going for it.
And then I know we talked about this. You started drawing at a very early age. It was one of your passions, art. But at this stage to go into art, was that like a leap forward in creativity? Like you wanted to express yourself in another medium?
Yeah, I think my whole life, ever since I was a kid, you know, I just imagined painting being something really difficult. You know, something that, you know, you needed training to do. It wasn't until, you know, I say last year where I was kind of like, you know what, like, I always wanted to paint. I need a new hobby. I need something to do outside of music. And my original thought was not to like pursue this as a career or do a gallery or do anything. I just wanted to paint, you know, and, I think about after a week and a half, I did like maybe 10 paintings, and I felt that they were all pretty strong. This is one of my first paintings. This happened in the first week and a half. And I don't know, it just became something that I was so, like, it reminded me of my youth. It reminded me of all those days I spent in my room alone, just drawing. And being like the freedom that I felt when I would draw, it's still the same with painting. You know, it's the one thing that I do. And like you said, I do a lot, right? But it's the one thing that I do when my mind is completely shut off and I'm not like thinking about it. I'm just kind of doing it. And like when my brush is hitting that canvas and I have my classical music playing, you know, I'm just totally in this peaceful state. I'm so fucking happy. But it's crazy because a lot of the paintings can be considered disturbing, you know, and even, you know, my goal at first was to do, okay, I want my paintings to have, you know, the same type of impact that my music does, where, you know, they're more like warnings or they teach you a lesson in some way. And my first exhibit that I'm doing in January at Rakowski Gallery in Paris, the title is called Echoes of the Past. And these are, you know, all these different moments of, you know, despair and pain and all the things that was going on in my life early on when I was younger and earlier in my career. And I want people to see these paintings and take a lesson from them, you know, and I want people to be like, man, I feel it's like the perfect painting to describe what I felt in my youth, you know, and that's just what moves me. But I showed some of my work to my mother, and she was like, "Oh, this is good, but it's dark. Maybe you should paint the light." And of course, I got defensive. I was like, "No, this is what I'm feeling right now. Like, I'm an artist. Like, this is what I'm feeling." But then, like, you know, later on that night, I thought about it, and I was like, you know, my mom is right. You know, just like I'm expressing the darkness, I should, you know, express the light and show people what that looks like. And so the first collection of paintings is a journey between the dark and the light, and how I came out into the other side.
And in my notes, I have something I wrote. We need to talk about Max.
Yes, this is Max here.
This is Max. So can you tell us a bit about Max?
Yeah. At first, I was thinking like Max was me, and I think he is me in some way. But like it's not me literally. It's like the inner child of me, and I put Max in these situations, like this one in particular. This is about self-sabotage and you being your own worst enemy. So I use Max as a kind of a direct through line to like Scott Mescudi, you know, in my art. I don't know, like I just think that, you know, it was better to have a character rather than it just be like me doing paintings of myself, you know.
And then up comes filmmaking.
Yeah.
Which is your next step. You're going to be directing your film very soon. And I mean, you've been very familiar, you've been acting in a lot of films and TV series.
Yeah.
But as an actor, you're always like a part of something. You're invited as an actor to participate in this vision of the filmmaker and the production. It's already there. But now you're going to be acting and directing.
Yeah.
So it's going to be more closer to your music production, where you're going to be in charge and responsible on everything.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about it?
Scared shitless. But I use that fear as fuel, you know what I mean? It fuels me. And I mean, if it doesn't scare me, then it's not worth doing.
Yeah.
You know, like if something seems easy, then I'm more than likely not going to do it. You know, I like the challenge, you know, and people always tell me like directing and acting in your own movie is one of the hardest things to do as a filmmaker, you know? But, you know, I've directed my own music videos. I've directed maybe 5 or 6 of my own music videos. And I find it like a really fun experience. I'm the type of director where, you know, I come on set and it's like, all right, y'all, we making something cool. Like, you know, and I get the energy up and have people feel like they're being a part of something cool. And I'm friendly. I'm not temperamental. I'm like a kid in the candy store. I'm just super enthused and excited to be doing, you know, something like this, like directing, you know, something I always wanted to do. So I don't know, man. It's something that I feel will be. It will give me something new that I haven't felt before, and like I said, it's a challenge that I'm thoroughly excited about.
I can't wait to see. I wish you all the best. Good luck.
Thank you.
And I know there's a lot of people who are waiting to ask questions.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. We jump in, right?
Hi Scott,
Hey, what's your name?
Kürşat.
Hey, what's going on?
I'm one of your biggest fans since 2009.
Nice. Thank you for listening, man, all this time.
In my darkest times, you are the moon and your light guided me and showed me the right way. Thank you so much. You saved my life a lot of times.
Oh, thank you, man.
I really love you, and I just want to say this.
I love you too.
I'm so tired. I'm sorry, and my English is not good enough.
No, it's okay. I'm following.
I just wonder, you in the future, you said you won't do music for a while, but in the future, do you think you will do music again?
Will I? When do I know when I'll be doing the music again? Is what you're asking?
Sorry?
Oh yeah. Oh yes. No. Music is inside me, man. I'm always like it. I have to remind myself when I get into these moments, like, Scott, you're gonna be making music till you're 80 years old. Like, melodies live inside you, in your heart. You know, like, you can put it on pause for a little bit. You know, you won't release anything, but you will still be in the studio creating. You know, and that's just, I guess that's who I am. I'm always gonna be a musician at heart, and now I'm doing a lot more producing. I haven't produced a lot of my stuff in years, but like I'm finding, you know, excitement in that, and just exploring different sounds and different sonics, and you know, one of my favorite things to do is to get new sounds and try to create something that I haven't heard before. So yes, I'm not retiring, just to clear that up. I will be back. It'll be a few years, but don't get it twisted. I got like 2 albums already finished in the chamber, just waiting. You know what I mean?
Kirkari, I'm also like a massive fan of yours, but what really,
Nice.
really
Thank
stood
you.
out to me was that, what the fuck? I didn't know that you were Mexican.
Yeah.
I'm Mexican.
A lot of people just think I'm just black. It's all good. It's all good.
So I was like, I need to speak to him about how influenced are you by Mexican culture? Like, how far back do you go? Are you like first generation Mexican? Was it your father, your mother?
Yeah, it's on my dad's side, and but I was raised by my mom, so I don't know much about my Mexican side at all. You know, my dad died when I was younger, and he really only, you know, connected with my older siblings about things, and you know, I just never got those lessons or got that knowledge. You know, so I'm kind of just lost. I'm a lost Mexican.
Well, I'm here to help you. I brought Alphan as a man many times to Mexico.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
okay.
And when I tell people you're Mexican, you're gonna get a lot of the invitations to the asada.
Oh, I'm down. I'm down. Sign me up, man.
All right, keep it up. Great job.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Big fan. I really love your music.
Thank you.
Your album with Kanye is one of the favorite albums. It's really a masterpiece, in my opinion.
Oh, dude, thank you.
I just wanted to ask, what kind of legacy do you hope your art and your music leaves behind?
I hope, you know, the music leaves lessons for people, you know, that they could use in their own lives. When I'm gone and I'm no longer here, those messages will still live on, and they'll help generations and generations through their darkness in their most vulnerable times. And that's always been my mission. That's been most important to me, is to help kids. You know, I wanted to kind of, you know, my angle when I first started doing music was like, how can I create something that I didn't even have when I was a kid, you know? I listened to a lot of hip-hop, and we talked about this backstage, you know? There's a lot of hip-hop I grew up on, but, like, I didn't connect to Jay-Z. Love Jay-Z. Love Tupac. Love Biggie. Love all these guys. But, like, I didn't see myself in their stories. So, like, you know, when I first started doing this and really thinking about a career, I was like, what can I provide that doesn't exist? And that was one of the things, is like talking about emotion, talking about struggle internally, you know, going through something and coming out on the other side, and you know, so that's my hope, that the lessons live on and help people to the end of time. And yeah, no problem. What's your name? Adam. Nice to meet you, brother. I'm Scott. Let me see. Right next to Adam. Let's get him.
Alright, so first of all, how did you find our city? Did you like it?
Oh, I love it. I love it. I wish I could spend more time here, and I wish it wasn't raining. But I'm gonna try to come back in the summer though and kick it, really kick it.
Sure. You should also perform. We would love to see you here.
Yeah.
So
You want me to sign that vinyl?
yeah, that will be the most amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
No, no,
Bring it up. Bring it up.
Do you need a pen? I've got 2 pens.
You got a Sharpie?
I've got a Posca.
Yep. Yes, I can. I can. I sure can.
Ağlayacağız.
Okay. All right.
Evet.
Bana soru versinler. Hocam kaç tane var? Yapacağım ya.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. I'll sign some more. Don't worry. Don't you worry. I got you covered.
So my question was, you're a really important figure in alternative hip hop, and what do you think about how the scene's going right now? And are there any artists you're really impressed and listen to in the new rap scene?
I think that hip hop is, don't really listen. I think here we go. I don't really listen. Yeah. Thank you. I don't really listen to a lot of new hip hop, you know. The last hip hop album I listened to was Kendrick's album that came out earlier this year, which was phenomenal. How many people heard that album? Crazy, yeah. But I was listening to this artist Lola Young. Are you familiar with Lola Young, guys? She's amazing. I listened to her album, and very rarely do I like listen to an artist's album all the way through, you know. But like, there's a few artists that I listen to that, you know, I feel like, you know, even Jaden Smith, who's like my little brother, who I feel like is, you know, on the verge of pushing the younger generation forward. And you know, I know there's stuff out there that's cool, but I just finally like, you know, I'm just listening to older music from the 90s. I just discovered this one band, Cocteau Twins. Have you guys ever heard of them? Yeah. I just discovered them. Amazing Star. So I'm deep diving in there because I'm kind of like transforming my world to the 90s. But yeah, man, very rarely do I listen to new stuff, and it's always been that way. You know, I've always kind of dove into the older stuff, and that's how I got inspired to create like the Man on the Moons and all the stuff you guys know and love to this day. So yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Let's see, this lady right here. We got to get a lady here. Yeah. Let's give her the mic.
Hi, Scott. My name
Hey.
is Karin. Nice to meet you. I'm
Nice
a
to
big
meet you
fan
too.
also. I don't think anyone needs to say that I'm a big fan because I feel like every one of your fans and people who listen to you relates to you because your mission from day one was to be the realest person and you open with your struggles and you're so vulnerable with public, which comes with a lot of responsibility and heaviness. And I was wondering, how do you deal with this heaviness of being real to the people and opening up about your struggles to the whole world? And with comes to responsibilities, because every conversation you had, I watch your interviews, they always talk about your struggles and your past and your like death of your father, and I think it's not easy to talk about it, but since it's there, there's like a lot of responsibility and a lot of heaviness. And how do you deal with that? And I was wondering, can you please sign my arm because I'm gonna get a tattoo?
No problem, no problem. Let me answer your question first. When I was 11 or 12, I was writing raps on my front step in Cleveland, Ohio. And my brother came outside and I was like, man, I'm having a hard time like writing. What should I write about? And he was like, write about life. Like, you know, you go to school, right? Write about that. And I was like, okay, you know, and that kind of got stuck in my mind. Like, oh, when you make music, when you're making music, you're supposed to tell your story. You want to bring the listener into your world. And so none of my music at that point after that was a fable. Like before then, I was talking about shooting niggas and all sorts of wild shit. Like, you know, it was crazy, right? Stuff that I didn't know anything about, but I was emulating what I was hearing, right? But like, once I got that tidbit from my brother, it changed everything. And, you know, it stayed in my mind up until like my 20s when I first started making the album. And I was like, you know, because the mixtape that I did, A Kid Named Cudi, was kind of me just showing people that I can make songs and that I can rap and like all that, you know. That was the goal behind that. But the album was meant to be like, I can bring you to another world and bring you into who Scott Mescudi is. So it's always been like, I can't make music any other way. Like, I'll never make a song that's just like a fable or something that's not real. Like, it has to be autobiographic, you know, and I feel like those are the best types of songs, you know. And so, yeah, I just feel like it's standard. Like, that's the true way to make a record, is to put yourself in it and bring people into your mind and in your world, you know. Now, come on up here and get that tap. You got a Sharpie? Where you want it? Right here? Okay. Oh man, this is scary. I got to do it right now. You saved mine. There you go. Thank you. Okay, do we have time for one more question? One more question.
One more. Scott.
Yo, cut it. Yo, you know.
Man on the move too.
Yeah, you're right. You. Stand up.
I've been waiting for this, you know?
First off, what's good? Welcome to Istanbul.
Thank you.
Up. Okay, I'll go back. Okay, so I got some rapid questions, just 3 or 4. First, is LeBron the greatest?
Is who?
LeBron the greatest?
LeBron?
James? Yes, from Cleveland.
I'm not really in sports.
Okay, then the next one. Do you hum to your daughter?
Do I what?
Do you hum to your daughter, you know?
Do I hum to my daughter? Yes. You know, it's funny. When she was little, I did that a lot. And she makes music now. So I remember we were working on a song and she came up to me and she's like, Dad, can you get on the song? And I was like, for real? Okay. So I get on the record and I start humming and stuff. and we're listening back, and she's like, Dad, all you did was just hum. And I was like, baby girl, let me let you know that my hums is what people love about me. Like, you might not understand this now, but this is the shit I'm giving you, right? But yeah, no, like I have, definitely. Oh, this is...